Let's put the beautiful country of Croatia high on your list. We'll visit the highlights of coastal gems waiting to be explored, and picturesque islands oozing with charm and filled with culture, as well as the spectacular interior. We'll start with a couple coastal anchor cities, beautiful spots filled with history, including Dubrovnik with its timeless charm, and the historic city of Split, built inside the palace of a former Roman emperor. We'll visit a couple scenic islands, including the lively island of Hvar, a good spot to visit regardless of your vibe, and Korčula, a beautiful and charming island with a more relaxing pace, and away from the coast, Plitvice Lakes National Park, with interesting geography that makes for a surreal scene, a spectacular spot. We did a day trip to Mostar Bosnia with its famous old bridge, and nearby Kravica waterfalls, as well as some smaller coastal cities like Zadar, Šibenik, and Kaftat. Let's start with Dubrovnik, Pearl of the Adriatic. Those massive stone walls have guarded the city since the 13th century, originally known as the Republic of Ragusa. As you walk through these marble streets in the Old Town, you're stepping through centuries of maritime power, wealth, and culture. From the shimmering Adriatic seas to the delightful cafes, Dubrovnik is a vibe. Take some time and enjoy this fascinating city. It also served as King's Landing in Game of Thrones. This is the city where history, culture, and incredible coastal scenery all come together. A can't miss while in Dubrovnik is a visit to the city walls. Get the Dubrovnik Pass for the same price, but allows access to a wide variety of sites. Go first thing in the morning to avoid the crowds and heat. Perched just on the outside of the city walls are a couple of cool bars, Buza Bar and Bard, accessed through a hole in the wall. Good spots to grab a cocktail and relax with a view. The Rector's Palace was the seat of the elected leader of the Republic of Ragusa, who ruled just 1 month at a time, designed to prevent any single person from holding too much power. We caught some musicians performing for tips and grabbed some excellent gelato. We love this clever way to get food from the kitchen downstairs to the rooftop restaurant. We booked an Airbnb with the rooftop terrace. It had a really cool grapevine that provided shade. At $700 for 5 nights, it was a steal, with picturesque views of Dubrovnik's walls and Old Town. Just the spot to relax with some coffee or wine and enjoying the view of the old port and the boat traffic. We like the neighborhood just south of city walls, a short walk to the old city, with Banje Beach at your footsteps. Don't book too far up the hill, because you're going to have to walk it on foot. I found Booking.com had some of the best options. Next we'll visit the historic city of Split. In the heart of Split stands Diocletian's Palace, not just a palace, but a living Roman fortress, built in the 4th century for Emperor Diocletian. Today's cafes, homes, and shops fill its ancient stone walls, blending everyday life with 1,700 years of history. After the Roman period, the abandoned palace became a refuge in the 7th century for residents fleeing invader forces, which led to the transformation of the complex into the city of Split. Much of the original castle remains intact, including the marble columns of the Roman Forum. The Venetian Tower was added in the 14th century. Emperor Diocletian's mausoleum was turned into a church, making it one of the oldest cathedral buildings in the world. Feel free to grab a picture with the faux Roman soldiers. Split was another shooting location for Game of Thrones. The palace cellars served as Daenerys' throne room and dragon dungeon, and the narrow streets were used as well. A beautiful promenade filled with restaurants and cafes sits on the Split waterfront. But there are plenty of other better places to enjoy a good meal with some atmosphere. Our favorites were just outside the castle walls. One of the coolest things we saw in Split, or really all of Croatia, was a wedding celebration in front of the cathedral in the Roman Forum. The Croatians really know how to throw a party. Nearby Split is the tiny island town of Trogir, packed with over 2,000 years of history. Surrounded by medieval walls and connected by stone bridges, this UNESCO-listed gem feels like an open-air museum. Wander these narrow marble lanes, visit quaint shops, Venetian palaces and cathedrals, and palm tree-lined promenades along the Adriatic. It's compact, charming, and endlessly photogenic. Worth a day trip from Split, but I wouldn't call it a can't miss. Let's visit the island of Hvar and the beautiful harbor town of the same name, one of the most historic and vibrant spots on the Adriatic. Settled by the ancient Greeks in the 4th century BC, and later shaped by the centuries of Venetian rule, Hvar grew into an important maritime and trading center. Overlooking the harbor is the hilltop Fortica Fortress, built to defend the town and offering incredible views of the harbor and nearby islands. Down below the main square, cafes spill out on the stone plazas, where locals and travelers linger over coffee or a glass of Croatian wine. Heading away from town, along the water are a lot of good beach club options, ranging from the casual and relaxed with a bed and an umbrella, to the fancy cocktail spots like Hula Hula Hvar, ready for a DJ party at sunset, with other options in between. We chose relaxed, with the beautiful crystal clear water. We watched the interesting boat traffic as people jetted to nearby islands, or relaxed in their yachts. History, sunshine, and island life all come together here in Hvar. Stayed in an Airbnb up the hill, which had a great view of the city. Hvar is lively at night, with options from casual dining to a lounge or club vibe. The views at night were great too. We could see from the Spanish fortress on the hill to the lights of the city and harbor. We said goodbye to Hvar and took a ferry to our next stop, the island of Korčula. One of our favorite stops in Croatia. Korčula town, one of the most beautiful walled towns in the Adriatic, often called a mini Dubrovnik. The quaint alleyways of the old town are filled with history, and the old city walls are surrounded by cafes along the water. We took a water taxi to visit another part of the island. The nearby vineyards should not be missed. With beautiful settings overlooking the sea, they're a great place to relax and enjoy, with sandy beaches to visit nearby. With its quiet squares, Venetian architecture, and relaxed island atmosphere, Korčula perfectly captures the charm of the Dalmatian coast. We loved our Airbnb a little bit up the hill with a fantastic view of the city. We started our journey in the capital city of Zagreb, visiting the old town and the charming St. Mark's Church, and stopped in Rastok on the way to the national park. One can't-miss spot is Plitvice Lakes National Park, one of the most spectacular natural landscapes in Europe. 16 turquoise lakes cascade into each other through a series of waterfalls, all connected by wooden walkways that wind through the lush forest. It's a place where water, limestone, and time have created a constantly changing masterpiece of nature. We also spent a day in Zadar, a coastal city where ancient history meets creative modern design. Roman ruins, medieval churches, and old stone streets tell the story of more than 2,000 years of life along the Adriatic. Take a close look at the foundations of the early medieval St. Dominic's Church, built on top of the ruins of Roman columns. But Zadar is also known for its two unique waterfront installations, the wave-powered sea organ, which creates haunting music from the sea, and the glowing monument to the sea that lights up the promenade at night. We also enjoyed visiting Šibenik, one of the oldest native Croatian towns on the Adriatic. Unlike most of the coastal cities founded by Romans or Venetians, Šibenik was established by Croats over 1,000 years ago. Its stone streets climb from the harbor towards the hilltop fortresses, but the city's true masterpiece is the nearby Cathedral of St. James, a UNESCO-protected cathedral built entirely from stone, without brick or wood. With its quiet alleyways, sea views, and remarkable architecture, Šibenik feels like a hidden gem along the Dalmatian coast. We had one of our more relaxing afternoons, enjoying the sunset and good music from a waterfront cafe. On our way to Split, we stopped off in Primistine for a beach day. This quaint coastal city has some of the clearest water that I've ever seen. We wanted to check out some of the surrounding areas, so we decided on a day trip to Mostar, Bosnia, a city filled with history, culture, and interesting architecture. The crossroads of the Muslim East and the Christian West. Buildings damaged in the war as Yugoslavia broke apart in the 1990s, are still present. The Ottoman Sultan commissioned the Old Bridge in 1557, becoming the largest arch bridge in the world. Much of the population converted to Islam when the Ottoman Empire conquered this area in the 14th and 1500s. The streets were filled with colorful artwork from traditional artisans in many forms, as well as more contemporary options. The mix of cultures highlighted by the Ottoman Old Bridge makes Mostar an interesting visit. 25 miles south of Mostar, we visited the Kravica Waterfalls on the Trebizat River. There's an impressive array of waterfalls cascading down from different spots, combining nature and relaxation. A cool spot to visit. On the day of our flight out from Dubrovnik, we took the ferry to Kavtat, near the airport, another charming historical city on the coast, filled with waterfront restaurants and cafes. After lunch at the cafe, we took the walkway to a small beach bar, hugging the rocky coast. Plenty of rich and famous nearby. We watched this helicopter land on Moonrise, the founder of WhatsApp's luxury yacht. We've told you about where we went. Now let's give you an overview of the overall trip. We flew from our home in Atlanta to Zagreb and spent the night there, and the next morning visited the sites. We rented a car and stopped off at Rostock for lunch on our way to Plitvice Lakes National Park, where we spent the night and visited the next morning. After that visit, we drove down to the coast to Zadar, where we stayed for one night. After touring Zadar, we drove down the coast to Šibenik, where we enjoyed a tour and spent the afternoon relaxing. After a night in Šibenik, we drove down to Split. We spent 2 nights in Split, which I wouldn't skip, and then took a ferry to the nearby island of Hvar, where we spent 1 night, probably worth 2 or more, and then another ferry to the island of Korčula for 2 nights, one of our favorite stops. Our last leg of the trip was a ferry to Dubrovnik, where we spent 5 nights, including side trips to Mostar and Kavtat. We flew home from Dubrovnik, which serves as a good anchor for your trip. Go ahead and comment to ask any itinerary questions. Say goodbye to Croatia and put it on your bucket list. Hit that BobShots button on the left and join us for more of our travels around the world. Thanks for subscribing.